In the 1700s, the American colonists are ruled by the British. In 1765, without the colonist representation, Britain enacts the Stamp Act, imposing taxes on every piece of printed paper. In 1767, the Townshend Act went further, putting taxes on essentials such as paint, paper, glass, lead, and tea. In March of 1770, dissatisfaction with the taxes required by the Stamp and Townshend Acts leads to public demonstrations in Boston. When a British customs officer fires and kills an 11-year-old boy, tensions boil over, leading to the Boston Massacre, as British troops fire on the revolting colonists. In 1773, colonists, angry over the taxes imposed without their representation, board a British ship dressed as Indians and dumped 342 chests of British East India Company tea into the harbor. A group of revolutionaries are formed from the 13 colonies to fight for independence. In March of 1775, Patrick Henry at the Second Virginia Convention presents resolutions to raise a militia, and 3 days later gives his "Give me liberty or give me death" speech.
Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back.
In April of 1775, the British send troops from Boston to Lexington to seize an arms cache. Paul Revere warns the colonial militiamen of the British approach with signal lights from the Boston Old North Church belfry. The colonial militiamen move to intercept the British. A confrontation ensues on the Lexington town green, where the first shots between the British and the colonists are fired, forcing the British to retreat to Concord. In May and June of 1775, more battles are fought, including the battles at Fort Ticonderoga and Bunker Hill. In July of 1775, George Washington is named commander of the colonial troops. In July of 1776, a Declaration of Independence is written and signed by all 13 colonies. In October of 1781, the colonial army surrounds Yorktown and British General Cornwallis surrenders, bringing to an end the American Revolution.
Willie lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.